There Came an Echo is a game that entirely relies on an interesting gimmick and the star power of the names they got to do the voice acting. Shame it's terrible. So a little context for There Came an Echo, because me and this game have a past. Back when I was coming up and still thinking that Let's Plays were a good idea, I was invited to a special event at YouTube Space in Culver City where some game that bragged about how it's entirely voice operated was going to give away keys and stuff and have a party with the devs, and I just thought, wow, that is the coolest thing ever. And I got roped into it. And all I got out of this game was a sore throat. This game holds the honor of being one of the few early Kickstarter games that went out and did exactly what it said it was going to do without any sort of hokey pokey in between. You play a sort of Shadowrun style game where you're commanding a squad of people who shoot in real time, and you do it all through your vocal cords. And all you're gonna do is get frustrated when they don't realize what you're saying, no matter how hard you enunciate on certain things. Alright, let's get into the scoring. Plot, 0 out of 10. Is the plot coherent and interesting? No, it is super complicated, but despite that, it's utterly cookie cutter. Okay, it's like, I'm gonna summarize it. You are like some sort of commander type, kind of like the XCOM guy, but not likable. And you have Val, who cannot go 30 seconds without saying a meme, and that just horribly dates this game, by the way. Fun fact, this game's achievements mention Markiplier and a couple other old memes in it, which, again, don't do that, game devs. That seriously dates you. And what was I saying? Right, you have to go find some guy who made a code that he claims, oh, it can't work because the tech doesn't exist. Well, if the tech doesn't exist to run this code yet, how did you build it? That's like saying like, oh yeah, I have this great thing. I don't even know how to describe a proper analog to how little that makes sense, but how do you know it won't work if you don't have a way to test if it works or not? But plot hole poking aside, that's why it gets a 0 out of 10. It's overly complicated and not likable and full of holes. This whole story, like if you were to actually play it or watch a playthrough yourself, all you will notice is, wow, there's a lot of plot holes in this game. I've also got to touch on, none of the characters are likable. By the way, world building, 1 out of 10 for very similar reasons, but I'm going to take the world building time to talk about how all the characters are super annoying tropes. You've got constantly talks with memes, is a stereotype, is a ultra cringe lord, is expositor, expositette, pseudo chosen one, and Will Wheaton. All of these characters outstay their welcome in their first 30 seconds of screen time. Now, as far as overall looks and aesthetic go, for graphics, what did I put here? 3 out of 10, that's fair. The game does not look good. Anytime you look at anything for more than a second, you notice how just poorly put together it is. The characters have weird body proportions, all the items in the area, they're really low res. This game does not look good. And on top of that, sometimes it just, you know what, I'm not justifying. It doesn't look good. I don't need to justify that. See for yourself. Aesthetic, 5 out of 10. It kind of has its own color palette and it's kind of visually striking, but again, it's an ugly game that hopes you're going to be too busy yelling into your microphone to notice that the game isn't particularly good looking. Sound design, 6 out of 10. Primarily because it gets all the points for soundtrack because Ronald Jenkins and Big Giant Circles did a great job for this game, but everything else about it is crap. In fact, some of the voice actors, I think, actively detract from this game's score. And if anything, if you want to enjoy the good parts of this game's sound design, just go look up Ronald Jenkins on Spotify, and that's all you need. Don't bother with that. Now, as for core gameplay, 6 out of 10. It's fair and easy to understand. Scream into mic to make people do things. Is it interesting? No. Will it give you a sore throat? Yes. Will the characters frequently not do what you want or mishear you? Yes, in fact, don't ever equip charge gun, because people will mistake that for recharge. That's what happens when your characters get low on their shields, they need to recharge. However, frequently, they will mistake the term recharge, which is to replenish their health, for equip charge gun. And they'll say, oh, I can't do that right now, I'm already firing a gun. And then they'll just die. And on top of that, this game is very bad with checkpoints. This game has a ton of story and expositing that they could not figure out how to make it sort of where the gameplay tells the story, and you're frequently going to be skipping cutscenes, which there's more cutscene than gameplay. And on top of that, after the cutscene, there's still a good 5 minutes of story and expositing before you can start. And you know what gets this annoying? There are certain areas where you're going to get creamed because you have no idea what you're doing. And this game will autosave a lot, which at first you're like, oh, that's good, right? It autosaves? No, it's not. Because if you wipe right before an autosave, what happens is the autosave is going to take you back to about 20 seconds before you wipe. So you're going to be stuck in an infinite loop of getting wrecked. Lucky for me, I almost gave up on this game, but then I remembered I still had that Let's Play privated on my YouTube channel. So I just downloaded that, and now I have the final 20 minutes of this game, which is great. But there's no option to like go to previous autosave. You either have to go all the way back or 15 seconds back to before you wiped. And either way, you're gonna be wasting a lot of time listening to the same few lines. As for player character navigation and overworld, the menus for equipping are weird, and they kind of take a bit of finagling to get everyone to get the things you want them to. The voice commands are very sensitive, and you have to stay a perfect distance from your mic and keep a perfect pitch and tone, which even though I have taken a good year of voice acting classes, and I could in theory do a demo tape and have absolutely no one give me a callback ever for voice acting, even I, with my discipline and actual training on how to do this stuff, had a hard time getting this game to recognize my commands. Some of it's easy, but a lot of commands they just didn't account for. They accounted for a lot of things, but certain phrases like open fire just don't work in this game, which you'd think would work. But this is all beside the point. This game gets a 2 out of 10 for player character handling. Now let's move on with our lives in this review. This game gets a 5 out of 10 for diversity of gameplay, because yes, there are different tactics you can take. In fact, it is completely viable to just use pistols and not use any of the fancy weapons. In fact, it might be easier because you aren't draining your HP, which, by the way, in order to use any fancy weapons, it drains from the same energy pool as your shield, which is basically your HP in this game. So yeah, chew on that. But are these ways interesting? Not particularly. You can either have a machine gun or a sniper, and you can scream at things one way or scream at them another way. You can even turn off the voice commands, but the mouse and keyboard commands are super hokey, and I would not recommend that. Alright, time for the easy points, or what should be the easy points for a game to earn. Optimization, 3 out of 10. Levels do not load fast. Game takes a while to boot. While it does have a consistent frame rate and it does get 60 frames, it's still just, it takes a while to do anything in this game. And I don't know, maybe perhaps that's why there was so much cinematics and expositing, was those were meant to hide loading screens. But at the end of the day, it wastes my time. And I'm running this on a machine that is far more powerful than anything they had at the period this game was made. Stability is 8 out of 10. Owing to that occasionally certain things get bugged out, like there are certain levels where you have to move your characters around in order to do a certain objective, and even if you have it right the first time, you have to go do it. So that's a thing. And this brings the overall score to 39 out of 100, which, while unfortunate because the devs really put their heart and soul to this, I think is fitting based on what we have seen here. For closing notes on this game, I'm just gonna mention like my whole experience with that thing. This was when I was coming up and when my subscriber count was, I think, in the low hundreds. That's how long ago this was. But I went to the thing, and I guess this is my Will Wheaton story. Completely tangential, but the funny thing is I never even met the guy. And that's sort of what colored my opinion of the guy, at least. I have not actually met him, but his actions sort of influenced me in this opinion, if that makes sense. At the end of this game, there's this thing the devs do that's so sweet, where instead of rolling credits, they all get together on a video screen like they're filming themselves, and they say hi and thank the player and thank the Kickstarter backers, and the voice actors and coders introduce themselves, like Ashley Burch is there, who is the, I guess, female lead of this game, but the only person not there was Will, again, who just decided that he wasn't gonna be there. This same thing happened at the big party. Everyone was there and everyone was so excited about this game, even though I have to admit it's pretty mediocre. But again, Will Wheaton flaked, which I felt, wow, that's like, they're billing you top bill in this game and you can't be bothered to go to their thing. I have to admit that's pretty rude. Like, as my own like adult person, like if someone invites me to a thing, especially a thing where I am like a headliner, even if I don't really want to go, I'm gonna show up to at least be polite. And really looking back after seeing all those things, because I had played the game a bit before, and then seeing like, wow, this guy stood up these devs twice, and seeing, oh wow, he's not even playing a character, he's just kind of being rude into a recording booth. I have to admit, that does not make me particularly fond of the guy. I felt that that was a very rude thing to do to the devs and all the people excited to play your game. And there's even a bit of an achievement there where you can actually make people automatically kill his character, which I don't know how I feel about that. I have to admit, I was a little too young to remember Star Trek, The Next Generation. So I really have no opinions on his body of work or his personhood outside of this particular thing. I can't help but notice that a lot of these people moved on into better careers, while Ashley Burch has not done Hey Ash, What You Playin' for a very long time. She does have a pretty stable voice acting career. She was Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn, and she gets bit parts on Steven Universe now. But the only time I ever hear about Wheaton now is when he's getting in trouble again. So I guess that was a way to fill 3 minutes for this video. Sign-offs are dumb and I have no idea how to do them. Like, subscribe, Patreon, bye. This boy is just lord of his own prison. Oh hey, the carpet's finally dry. Ish. Do you enjoy this? Do you enjoy starting riots at Mommy's work? Mommy's coworkers don't enjoy that. You enjoy fucking up Daddy's hands? Well, that's actually healing rather nicely. Do you enjoy a sniff? I see you enjoy a snack. You ate all your food. You got extra food when you were being boarded. And you ate all that food too. You're a little snack monster. My shirt's wet? Oh, dang. I guess it wasn't as dry as I thought it was. You know, I'd push you off this one and sit on it too, but I'm pretty sure this cannot support my weight, even with reinforcement. Can a pet? Oh yes, pets. Pets. Oh, you sniffing? You sniffing? Are you gonna sit on my hand? Oh, are we balancing? Are we balancing? Oh, look at the balance boy. It feels like if I could let go, but I'm worried he'll wobble over. I'm actually really impressed with your cat. Okay, I probably shouldn't have done that. That could have gone very poorly. I'll give you a couple. Oh, you're letting me pay you. Okay, I'll leave you alone now. Until next time.